regarding the occult, where I looked up different terminologies to find out what the words mean. What I want to say in this part two is my overall feeling and what I learned from that exercise. In short, to me, looking up the words and what witchcraft and the black arts is all about is it's about control. It's about exerting your will upon something else or someone else. And I asked myself this question: how did this all come about? What initiated witchcraft or sorcery, and the like? Why was there a need to do that? I'm thinking that something must have happened in history, and I'm wondering whether or not, like, I've been introduced to the alternative reality about this dimension being invaded by other beings, that it's a control over our energies, like in the movie Matrix, that, I mean, not exactly like that, but that we're on this planet and you have, whether they be from another dimension or another planet, that they are harvesting, our bodies. That there used to be a literal slavery, but now the form of slavery has changed, and that now you have all these technologies to do the work for you, but you need people to man the machinery, or the tools, and also about the energies that like you have the media, and the media is constantly throwing out different things to get you excited, to get you upset, to make you become reactory, and so I'm thinking, wow, this is that in itself is witchcraft, the media. Yeah, I did mention that in the first part, but yeah, that you have people who use their outfit, like you notice in the media, the suit and tie. What usually is it? It's black, or the way black and white, the black suit and then the white shirt, black and white duality, and it's their uniform, and it is their witchery or warlocky uniform, but we're so used to it, and it's a sign of authority. I know growing up, and I used to work in an office, and the suit and tie, it's could be intimidating to look at times, when I was just starting out, and it's about control, and so just looking at them gave them that power, So I'm thinking, hey, that witchery is more than just seeing an old woman on a broomstick. That's how the media portrays her, and that she's evil. But as I start, looking at the meanings of the words of witch and the occult, and the things that are being done, it's all about control. That's not, for me, I think, what real power is to be able to control yourself, to be able to manage your body so that you don't have to get into anybody's business, And for someone to go around and thinking, oh, who I'm going to hex or do this or that, why even do that? you know. There was something else I wanted to talk to you about. I had, over the weekend, I had to go to a funeral. My aunt had passed away a week ago on Friday, and I had to go into southern Queens in New York, South Jamaica, Queens. And on my journey there, I had to take the E train, E as in Edward, and then the Q111 bus. This was around rush hour. I think I left, yes, I left my home at 4 p.m. And so by the time I got into Queens, it was around 5 o'clock. So that's rush hour. But it just had, there was an incident that happened on the bus. I'm sorry, the train. And so an elderly man was saying vulgarities at 3 young women. And I haven't heard that type of profanity. He's, using terms of the woman's anatomy and the male anatomy and what he wanted them to do to him. And it was just disgusting. And I think because he looked so old that it may be, because the man is old enough to be those ladies, father. And so that's why I think I got so upset. But someone came to their rescue, and it kind of agitated me a little bit. I'm glad the ladies got protected. And then I left the train, and then I had to find a bus, and I never rode this bus before. But this area, this is the Queen Center, I think it was, near Parsons and Archer Avenue, I think. And it just had and I don't know. I had spoken to someone. I found the bus stop, and then I asked the young woman. She could have been a late teens or early 20s. And I just said, in a light way, "Oh, do you know when the next bus is coming?" And she just had like a snarly look at me. And she did respond. She just said no. And but I just felt that tension, the whole area. And then I get on the bus, and I asked the bus driver. I said, "Well, I've never taken this bus before, and I need to get to such and such avenue. Would you let me know when we approach it?" The bus was crowded. The bus driver was a woman, and she was very agitated. She says, "Well, if I remember," she said really hostile, like, I might tell you. And I'm thinking, wow. And so I said to myself, I have to be, proactive and really look out the window to see my stop. And then I saw, the numbers. I said, "Oh, okay." So I knew where to look for what street that was approaching. And then it was like maybe 3 blocks or 2 blocks away. So I walk up front to the bus driver, and I said, "Excuse me, could you please stop the bus at 120th Avenue?" And she yells at me, says, "I can't stop it now." She thought I said, "Please stop the bus now." No, I said 120th Avenue, which was 2 blocks further up. And then then I repeated it, 120th Avenue. And then, when the street came. So I get off the bus, but I feel like a little edgy, and it just didn't sit right with me. And then I walked to the church where the funeral was to be held, and it just had this energy, it set a pace. And so by the time I get to the funeral, the experience wasn't a positive experience for me. But what I'm getting at with this, why I bring this up, is that you have well, I remember you have different energies in different regions, and you may have spirits presiding over those regions. And I was speaking to a person today who is involved in um, the occult, um, and I told her about my incident going to this funeral over the weekend, and she had shared with me that when you, like, sometimes when practitioners learn, she got initiated into something, an advanced practitioner, and when this person was relaying this story to me, when she went to sleep, that she had, that you have spirits that visit you in your dreams, that you could interact with other energies or whatever, what they are, in your dreams. They come to you in your dreams, and they could pretend to be something that they're not. Their intentions may be malevolent, and they might initially come across positive, and then their true colors come out. And I thought to myself, wow, there's a hierarchy. Just like what happened to me in this South Jamaica, Queens, and the different people that I met, and the animosity, that you may have people, like a warfare. There's spiritual warfare, and then there's the physical warfare of the physical world, and that people could be against each other for whatever reason. And so the lady that I spoke to, who's a practitioner, she was saying, hey, this, in the sleep world, there is hierarchy also. And when you do something, when you go into a territory, that if you're the so-called new kid on the block, and they see that you have certain abilities that could challenge the people who have been in that region longer, they will attack you, and they will warn you to get away. So I mentioned that like I was a new person in this area, and so the response, I'm a new, I guess maybe people could perceive whether you're from a particular area or not, even though it's New York City, but you have different pockets, and maybe I stood out somewhere, But again, I realize that what's happening here in this realm, the physical realm, is also happening in the realm that we can't see. And so some things you can't avoid. Wow. It's something. So I have to learn how to stand my ground here, but also to stand my ground in the spiritual world, the astral world. And that I am interested. I did mention that I am investigating different practices of the supernatural, the paranormal / occult. But I have to realize the more deep I get into this, the more responsibility I would probably face. Yeah, and I definitely don't want anyone visiting me in my sleep and trying to warn me, trying to harm me, whatever. But it's something that I want to share with you, because there are warring spirits, and that sometimes all spirits may not want you around. And in this case, going to this funeral, I felt that I was not received well. So I guess, you have to make sure that stay in areas that treat you well, that you resonate with. And if you need to go into other areas, maybe bring someone who is from that area, and really just try to keep a low profile So, yeah, and lastly about that, I just want to say that if you guys out there, you could pray for South Jamaica, Queens, and areas like this, that it's predominantly African American and Afro-Caribbean. And, they work really hard, they're tired, and you have a lot of crimes that happen in this area. Crime is everywhere in New York City, but some pockets are so, you can feel it with a knife, the energy, the negative energy there. And, we have to really love one another. We have to elevate ourselves. We all know that there's poverty and discrimination that happens to people of color, but it doesn't mean that you have to be hostile, And I guess I mentioned about this because you have these entities that are targeting specific areas to take your energy. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it, South Jamaica. Don't, South Jamaica, Queens, don't fall into it. Pray before you go outside, and put a smile on your face when you walk outside. I mean, don't look crazy, but in standing your ground. But standing your ground doesn't mean to look like a thug. When you have peace in you, people are going to want to know, hey, what's bringing you peace? They might say, hey, what how are you able to do this? It's so easy to get pulled down, and I have to constantly remind myself, not to be negative when I go outside. Sometimes I feel that I'm getting negative too at times, and I'm getting paranoid, whatever, when certain people approach me. I have to learn too, So, again, some things are just regional that you're going to face going to certain areas. But again, we have a choice. And again, some things is just, what it is. It's a spiritual warfare on all dimensions. So, let me know what you think about these things, about this type of warfare, or spiritual warfare that's going around in different regions, and your exploration into certain practices and what your experiences are as you grow in it. Have you faced any opposition? So share this video with your friends, family members. Comment below. You could share information. And you could subscribe, and as I say, you can please give me the thumbs up for this video. Take care, guys. Bye.